Good. Thank you, Joe. Good afternoon. Welcome to the ALCOSAN Advisory Committee meeting. This is a combination meeting in person Zoom. There are 3 municipal reps here, and there's about a dozen ALCOSAN reps. I'm going to call this a fair fight. I think we're ready for them. So we'll start the meeting with a roll call, Stevie.
Good afternoon, all. Nick Bianchi. Lisa Werder-Braun.
Present.
Lloyd Cunningham. Dan DeMarco.
He's on the screen.
Dan is on the screen.
I see him.
Pat DeMarco.
She's had surgery today.
Tina Doucet. Ariam Ford Graver. Nick Griesok.
Here.
Mark Heckman.
Here.
Rebecca Kiernan.
Here.
Ken Lasada. Ruth Ann Omer. Stanley Paps. Will Pickering.
Here.
Mary Ellen Ramage.
Here.
Tim Rogers.
Present.
Kathy Sapp. Danielle Ventruska. We have 9.
Yeah, he resigned. Treat that.
Works for me.
89.
For bureaucratic manipulation, we have a quorum. People like me that attack countries like this, I don't know. One thing that I would raise is I continue to be disappointed that we're not able to get a significant majority to these meetings, but thank you to those who are attending. I think, Arlette is not going to be able to join us, so one of the items is off the agenda, but I think that we as a committee and those who are attending want to encourage Darla to go to the executive and get some new appointments. We've got to get some people here to do our responsibility. Having said that, I would like to get your wishes regarding the possible approval of the minutes of the March 2022 meeting.
I have a correction on the March minutes. On the second page where it talks about me giving an update on Sawmill Run Basin. The integrated planning plan is completed. The other plan is the Healthy Corridor Master Plan, and that's will be done in the summer of 2023. Okay, just to make sure that that's clarified. So the integrated plan is completed, and we're working on implementing that.
Have a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
So moved.
Motion.
I second.
Second. Chairs are always impressed when somebody reads the minutes and finds them. Very impressive. All in favor, give your consent by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it so ordered. Possible approval of the minutes of the April 19th, 2022 meeting. Your pleasure.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Question on the motion. Being called in favor, give your consent by saying aye.
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 Ayes have it so ordered. The Allegheny River Tunnel Consolidation Sewer Briefing. Kim?
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to let the committee know we are going to be going out for a request for qualifications for the what we're going to call the Allegheny River Tunnel Consolidation Package. If Joe, if you go to slide 3. Yeah,
The Allegheny is the second one? to be
it
done?
is the second one,
Okay.
but
So you've already done this on the first? On?
no. So the Ohio River Tunnel is under design.
Oh, I'm in Ohio. That's okay.
But there's a consolidation sewer package up along the Allegheny River that has the potential to have some development in the next couple of years. And Mike and his team, we've been meeting with the developer quarterly. And we really think that it would be good to have this consolidation sewer designed. If they get funding and they start moving, we don't want to rip up the development as soon as it's put in by knowing that we have a consolidation sewer to put in, probably in the late, like 28, 9-ish, you know? So we are going to move forward with getting a final designer on board to do the design. The consolidation sewer ranges from 48 to 96 inch, so it's a pretty big project.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically a mile sewer up in Sharpsburg. I think it starts at 19th Street and goes all the way up into Aspen Wall.
So this is for Riverfront 47?
Yeah, now it's called Allegheny Shores. They brought in a firm from New York to, advance it and start getting the stormwater permits. And I think they're getting ready to actually do some advanced grading and some, infrastructure, installing some of the infrastructure. And the thought is, while we're designing this, we can put this out to bid, in conjunction with their schedule and make it cost effective, basically. The last thing we want to do is get in there after they put in their amphitheater and their townhouses and everything else and tear it all up. So we want to get there in their advance. We want to kind of keep pace with this development and make sure the infrastructure goes in concurrent or sequential to their stormwater infrastructure and sanitary sewer infrastructure.
So it will not, obviously it'll be in before the Allegheny River Tunnel gets built. So that you can see in yellow, that's the proposed Allegheny River Tunnel. And what we would be designing at this point is the purple consolidation sewer.
Gotcha, okay.
Like about a mile long.
To the extent that it's relevant, there's some environmental issues.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Riverfront 47.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Right.
The other thing is, if I can speak for you, Mary Ellen, we are still renewing our request to review having the tunnel on the other side of the Allegheny, rather than cross over into the Hampton Shale Water Authority proper for aquifer protection issues. So we may want to try to finally resolve that, because that may affect what you're letting here. That's okay.
It really shouldn't affect this project at all, Tim.
The tunnel,
Right.
master tunnel would be on the other side if you decided to change it.
We still have to come up and pick up A72 and this infrastructure up. I think the alignment, I think it's swung back across, up toward, I'd have to look at it again, but I think it's swung across.
It moved to 28.
Right. It was at one point in time back in 2013. It's on the south shore.
Okay, good. Okay. I just wanted to throw that out.
I'm having a hard time hearing, Mike. Could you
Okay.
say that all again, a little bit louder?
Okay. Yes. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna move, so they're not gonna stretch it any further.
No. That's it. So yeah, say it again.
Yeah, we'd have to look at that, yes. But I don't think at this point in time it's going to affect, because we have to swing back up to get these overflows up in this vicinity.
So right now is the proposal where we talked about originally?
It's still along, it's the Route 28, the alternative. They got away from the well field, but they're still committed to running pretty close to 28, as I understand it, and then crossing at just beyond 72, which is significantly upstream from you and I.
So what's
So-
happening at A68?
So to be clear, we are not designing the Allegheny River Tunnel at this point. We're just putting in the consolidation sewer at the Riverfront 47 development. We're moving to the design so that it's designed and it's in a position, if they move forward with their civil package, that we can put in the consolidation sewer. The Allegheny River Tunnel Nobody is designing it right now, and it's the way it was when we did the meeting with Hampton Shaler Water and with you, Tim, at Shaler. And this consolidation sewer wouldn't in any way affect our future discussions on picking up A68.
Okay, so this purple tunnel, which would serve Riverfront 47, no matter what, it's going to go to 72.
Right.
Yes, okay.
Right.
Yes.
And so if you
That's
jump
correct.
across the river, then you're going to run something across the river.
Right, this consolidation sewer has been in there since preliminary planning, back 10 years ago, so.
We're good, Emmy. We still got.
So, yeah, we're still pretty
Okay, thank
consistent
you.
in this area.
Okay, that makes sense. Very good, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the tunnel project discussion as requested by the committee. And specifically, what we were concerned, I think what I had raised was many of us are confused about dry weather versus wet weather. I brought that up at that period of time, very good. So, and just to be parochial about it, we at the Shaler believe that if the tunnel was a 24/7 tunnel and that Penn Hills, Washington Boulevard, Highland Park went into the new tunnel, it would greatly relieve the problems that we're having. We're told, and I don't know if it's right or not, we're told we're the low end of the system. So as soon as the system backs up, the line that comes through, the Pine Creek line comes down through the Shaler, stops dead. If it gets to the point where it would then go into overflow, that doesn't, I don't think, I'm an engineer, that doesn't help us. If you're in overflow, then we're backing up. So if we're waiting for overflow to relieve the system, I think that might be an issue. I got two engineers shaking their heads at me, so.
That's okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the future, okay, and we were talking about this morning. The gray line here at the plant during the typical year rain, these are 1.5 inch rains, is going to be held constant. Okay, so in other words, we're going to be able to hold that wet well down. Currently, what happens when it rains, because we don't have this extra capacity at the plant, the wet well goes from like 680 or 670 to 710, 720. Okay, so what happens is we lose the hydraulic grade line here at the plant, and that hydraulic grade line projects up system. And that's why a lot of your problems are that you can't get into the system because the grade line is elevated at A68. Now, in the future, okay, because we're expanding the plant to 600 MGDs, we're going to be able to hold flatline that hydraulic grade line here at the plant. So you will have the dry weather capacity to convey dry weather flow to us, okay? You will also have wet weather capacity, okay, when we install that tunnel regulator. And that, if you recall, in the selected plan, there was these things called the Municipal Feasibility Study, basically the convey off flows alternative. That was one of the alternatives whereby, we went to the municipalities and say, give us your best shot at conveying flows from this municipality, assuming all, regulatory provisions are provided for and, all the environmental provisions are accommodated. So basically, I think municipalities, the Pine Creek watershed came back with a proposal for like a 72-inch consolidation sewer going up Pine Creek. And that's what's currently in our second selected plan. That will alleviate upstream hydraulic issues from A68, which you're not seeing now as part of your consent order agreement process, because you still have that 36-inch sewer that's coming down Pine Creek that you have to contend with. So, our facilities, as we expand the plan here, as we put in the tunnel facilities, it will have capacity, not only dry weather, but wet weather capacity, and it will hold those hydraulic grade lines down.
So let me see if I can dump this down.
Sorry if I made it.
No, I get where you're at, but if I reach where it's hitting the Ross Shaler line and the Etna Shaler line is when we hit wet weather and the pipe slows. it backs up the system so fast
Yes.
that I'm wondering if wet weather will be able to accommodate that extra flow. And I think we're bucked against what's coming from Highland Park, particularly Washington Boulevard, Penn Hills. So there's a much longer lead time for us to get back into the system. We're noticing that.
Right, but I guess we wanted to focus on the plant expansion and the benefits of the plant expansion that you'll see from that. So we'll have two pump stations, a 480 MGD and a 120. The 480 is where you get backed up now. It caps out. We've done the improvements to the pump station to be able to pump 480, but we didn't put in the process equipment yet, which is what's under construction now. So you're still capping out at 250. That's as much as we can do right now.
Yeah.
When we can get that pump station with the downstream process equipment installed, and we can start pumping down that existing infrastructure to 480, you will see a benefit.
So it sounds like there's more of a plant problem than a conveyance problem.
Yes, that's right. No, it is coupled. I mean, it is coupled together. There's limited conveyance. I mean, no doubt, because you have 36 inch line going into a 24-inch conveyance crossing. We have Washington Boulevard going into a 48-inch sewer, okay, up on Upper Allegheny. So those conveyance issues, are there, but they're exacerbated by the plant condition. That we can't get past 250 on.
So these new tunnels will be dry, except in wet weather flow.
Yes.
But the new tunnels would provide a hell of a lot of capacity for the lack of a better term of art, storage, intermittent storage, right? So you get these medium storms.
Yes. It's sort of a hard concept. It took me a long time to get around to how these tunnels are going to work together. I think that the thing to keep in mind is that the hydraulic grade line will be controlled, okay, up by the system, and there will be additional conveyance pipes there to take that when the flows. And then even though the preliminary feasibility studies, the convey all flows alternative that we asked the municipalities to perform back in like 2012, those situations are like the post 2036 improvements that you see, and that's why I think regionalization is so important, because I think one of the things that you're going to realize is that as part of regionalization, we'll take on what was in those municipal feasibility studies, and we'll take on the responsibility for implementing those improvements. So that's one of the benefits municipalities are going to get from regionalization, is that we will address another component of flow.
So just to throw out the last question, I guess. What size of the storm is going to overwhelm the system? From the standpoint of a municipal backup, right? I mean,
That's sort of, I mean, you got to put it in terms of like what your average annual rainfall is.
Yeah.
And you have to pick, went back and negotiate with the agencies. We had to pick a series of storms that had, reasonable peak flows, reasonable, volumes, and it had to be kind of an average year over based on 60 years of, precipitation record at the airport. So that's kind of what our design standard is that we have to achieve.
our problem doesn't seem to be, we're okay with 2 and 24. It's the really hard rain in 30 minutes that seems to be becoming a problem for us. And I don't know if that's a new thing or, My colleagues online, do you have any questions?
It's not really a new thing, Tim, other than it's moving upstream. Aetna's been experiencing that for decades.
Yeah. And now it's coming up. We're seeing it as far north now as Fall Run Park at the flats or Shayla Flats. We're seeing it that far where blown manholes and really heavy
Right,
rains.
I mean, you just can't get into the system as it currently stands. But these improvements will provide added conveyance plus the pumping capacity of the plant's going to keep that hydraulic grade line under control.
Very good.
And if
Any other-
I'm understanding it correctly, Mike, you're talking like the plant expansion, the pump capacity, and those two are being under construction now. And then the final piece that should help us is the new tunnel.
Right,
That's right.
correct, Mary Ellen.
Mary Ellen, you and I will both be retired when the test comes.
Well, I'm hoping, but I
Yeah.
don't know about that.
Any other questions? Thank you. Update on the board of directors. Okay, the next item on the agenda is update of the board of directors engagement. Arletta was called away on an emergency. I saw her running up the road as I pulled in, offered her a ride. So she's going to be unable to make this meeting. So we'll move this item to the next month. Discussion on the advisory committee's role in advising the ALCOSAN board of directors. That was kind of linked to previous one too. If there's no objection, we're going to pull those to the next meeting, which, by the way, while I'm on the subject, is June 21st, not the 14th. Next meeting is June 21st. Update on Pennsylvania legislation, Jeannie?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. We have been following in particular Senate Bill 597, which is the bill that would require extra, anybody who owns a pipe to have extra regulations with no extra money to pay for it. And there have been some amendments put through, but basically it is now standing still. It has been in the Appropriations Committee. It could come out at any time, but what we're hearing is enough municipalities wrote in and complained about it that they're holding off for now. I also, which is very good news for us, we're continuing to watch it, and we're continuing to try to find a way that municipalities can do a ballpark figure of how much this might cost them. One of the interesting pieces that I haven't mentioned is that if this bill passes, there's information in there that says if you do not fully comply, you do not get any money from the state, which would be a disaster for municipalities. So we're going to continue to inform everybody and continue to push on that. I did also want to share some good news in that both Congressman Doyle and Senator Casey published their intent to seek earmarks, except they're called community something or other now, to almost $6 million for ALCOSAN's projects. And we're very grateful for that. We hope they make it through because that was the major first step, but it could make a difference. We've got also other requests in that we expect to be positive, to get some positive reaction to, including we are asking for an amendment to WRDA to improve the portion of the Army Corps. This is called Section 219, Army Corps rules, to allow the Army Corps to reimburse rather than to do all the work themselves, and to add more money to that section.
So you're looking for federal monies for projects that you're in design?
Yeah, yes, yeah. And once we get all straightened out on where the infrastructure money is going to be, how it's going to be handled in Pennsylvania, we'll be probably applying for that too.
So if you were able to get some federal monies, could you go back to the board and push back on the rate increases that are in the pipeline?
My guess is that it wouldn't be enough, fast enough, but it could impact future rate consideration.
One of the items that we want to talk about at our next meeting, and I don't know if you could get it ready that fast, is an analysis of rates against bond debt? Whether, or, are we incurring debt over rate increases? Or are the rate increases eliminating the need for additional bond debt and projects? One of the things that we, the managers, municipalities are faced with, in my case, I'm paying $4.10 for 1,000 gallons of water. But I'm now paying over $10 to get rid of that water. And that's a significant change in the way it used to be. It used to be pretty close to dead even. And so we're seeing an increase in the request for credit meters at the Hampton Water Authority. People are saying, if I'm going to wash my car and water my lawn, and we're only $4.10 per 1,000 gallon of water. If you're PWSA, I'm not sure what their current rate is for 1,000 gallon of water, but I'm guessing it's probably close to 9-ish, 9-ish. So there's a disparity in that cost. And I think that's what we're hearing from our residents. We're trying to, so if we could bring that up at the next agenda, that may not give you enough time to do it. And if that's the case, then if you need a couple of months, then that's fine. So back to the legislation that
Right.
you'd be back. What could you tell us what is in items that are in the legislation that would affect municipalities?
I have a 6-page memo that I can forward to everybody on the committee that details both how it would impact you financially, generally, as well as how the rules would change in terms of how you do take action. So I'll send that to the advisory committee.
I know the water authorities are fighting it pretty heavily. Anything from my colleagues? Hearing none, we'll move on to an update from the municipalities. Anybody have an update?
Okay. In reference to the integrated watershed management plan, we re-engaged all the communities. We had a meeting in April. It was very well attended by almost all the municipalities, either their engineers or their managers were present. The DEP was present. PennDOT was present. And PWSA was present. So Ana Flores and I presented the plan and talked about next steps. So a bunch of different challenges. One of the major challenges that we're seeing for municipalities is that as we start moving forward on projects, that almost all of the municipalities in our basin, in Sawmill Run Basin, have different dates for their permitting. So it really creates an obstacle when communities want to work together on mutual projects. So we're trying to figure out a way to pressure the DEP to create at least some sort of understanding that communities within the same basin can have the exact same dates for their permit cycles instead of this sort of haphazard stuff, so that it will really encourage communities to work together on projects, to do cost sharing on projects, and really create some momentum around those kinds of things we want to see happen regionally in as far as water resources are concerned. The other major news for us is that PWSA and PennDOT are finalizing the contract to do a major design build project in Sawmill. It's going to be a stream restoration project that will fulfill their MS4 requirements and also help to alleviate some pressure on the CSOs in Sawmill. So they're looking at several sites right now. And so we're pretty confident that that project will begin next spring.
A stream restoration.
Yes, it's a stream restoration project. So and they're looking at some, there are public green spaces within the watershed, and there actually are quite a few. So that alleviates the issue of getting kind of the whole property acquisition costs and things like that, so. Yeah, so we're pretty excited about that. I don't know, Will, do you have any, is Will still on? Does he have anything to add?
I do not. I am here, but that was a good summary.
Okay.
Anything else? Ravine Street stream removal project in Sharpsburg is nearing completion, thanks to the intervention by ALCOSAN and PennDOT. And so that's a significant project done by multiple municipalities. That's pretty close to resolving. Anything else? Hearing none. Our next meeting again is June 21st. Public comment? We have no public comment. Very good. Anything else for the good of the order? Mr. Solicitor, you okay?
Good on my end.
Very good. Nothing to add?
Yeah.
Very good. All right, very good. I see no attempts to have comment. So without objection, we are adjourned. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.